So he just walked into GTO and this dude's taking his clothes off. Check this out, dude. What do you got? Let's see some brand commitment here. Oh, and you got a pick. Dude! That's bad. I like that one too, but
yeah.
All right, let's see what's more. And I'm like, you gotta flex. Badass, bro. That's where you go if you want to see the tattoo. Got to hang out with the boys a little this morning over at GTO, dude. You like my boy's tattoo? Pretty sick, right? I don't know if I'm that committed to GTO, but that's a badass tattoo. I got some cool stuff for you. I got a new jerkbait, and that's what part of this video is going to be about, the new Bass Mafia Shot Caller. But what we're going to do is, I put out, you guys seem to be really interested in jerkbaits right now. I'm catching a lot of fish on jerkbaits, and a few months ago, or maybe a few weeks ago, put out a video with what I think is a really sneaky technique for jerkbait fishing. Basically, we're reeling the bait. We're power reeling the jerkbait instead of using the twitch technique. And dude, I've been blowing their lights out on it. So what I wanted to do is kind of two things. I wanted to test this new Bass Mafia Shot Caller. It's kind of a cool bait, sort of a fusion between a Stunner 112+1 and a Mega Bass Vision 110. Two excellent jerkbaits. Gonna run through some features on that in a second. But what I wanted to do is I figured out a few little hacks and mods for the jerkbait that are kind of cool for tweaking your presentation. And dude, it's freezing out here, it's winter, it's the perfect time to play with your jerkbaits. I don't think they're very well known, so they're kind of secretive. So hit that like and subscribe button. We're gonna test this Bass Mafia Shot Caller, and I'm gonna show you a few sneaky little tournament tweaks to your jerkbait game. Tip of the day here for you boys. You know when you get out of jerkbait, it's when you have little ice balls like this falling out of your rod guides. Got them. Better one. Oh god, there's another giant with them.
Holy crap, there's like 3 of them, bro. Oh my god. I got the new jerkbait from that was so cool. Get in here. It's the new jerkbait from Bass Mafia. That's a spot, dude. That's a great big giant spot. Look at that thing. That's a freaking Donkatron spot. I want to put her on the scale.
You notice I got all dark all of a sudden? Or actually, there's a giant bluff wall right here, and even though it's like midday, it's creating like a shade line because the wall's so high. And I like sun during the winter. I like it to warm up the water. But that doesn't mean that having some shade or some low light created kind of like by a bluff line, because you got the river kind of flowing right through here. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, because it's a perfect little ambush point, especially when it lines right up with this little ledge right here. Oh my gosh. I don't know where my bait is, but there's about 20 of them moving around, and I know they're relating to my bait. Eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Oh, he got it. That's a little guy. Or not. Oh no, that's not a little one. That's a freaking tree pounder. Get in here. That's a freaking good one. Oh, there. How about it, boys? Off the bluff wall. Nice 3 and change. We gotta retie though. I got the bait all gangled up and nicked up, and I only got a couple of these things, so we're not taking any chances. So specs on this guy. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of, I would say like a Vision 110 fused with a Stunner 112. What's kind of interesting about this guy, it has like the standard weight transfer, tungsten weight transfer, so you can slang that thing. The worst part about a jerkbait is like the slice on the cast. It makes it really hard to cast because it's such a thin, light bait. Thing comes in at ½ ounce. It has sort of the cupped bill right there. A couple things that make it unique. Number one, this pattern's sick, first of all. So that's actually one of the things, is the patterns are absolutely sick. They're reflective, and then there's also some transparent patterns. And personally, that's kind of what I've found that I like with my jerkbaits. It's a lot like my trap fishing, is I want something transparent with like a little accent color, Or I want something that's super duper flashy, like gold, silver, you know, chrome, something along those lines. The other thing that's a little bit unique, the hooks that it comes with BKK hooks, which frankly, you know, I understand the Mega Bass, the Vision 110, it needs those fine hooks to make it sit just right in the water. But dude, they're absolutely annoying. Like when you're hooking like decent sized fish, they're always bending, opening up, and it's really hard to find hooks to swap out to keep the bait running correctly. These are like BKKs. I bet you they're like number 3s, number 2s, something like that. They're super stout. I would not be afraid to hook like a 6-7 pound fish with them. They're not going to open up. BKK is making a really good product right now. The other kind of unique thing about this guy is basically it has kind of a more floating or a rising kind of action. It's still a suspending jerkbait, but I find that it has more of a rise. The stunner usually sinks, right? The Vision 110 is usually kind of perfect where it just suspends in pretty much any water temperature. What I'm finding is with the cold water temperatures that we're having, maybe like 45 to 52 degrees right now, this guy is floating and rising ever so slightly. And that actually leads to one of the mods that we're doing on it. It is lead line. I have 0.30 diameter, something I got off the Tackle Warehouse. And what I'm doing with that is I'm just using it to wrap the front hook of the bait. So I'll put just a little bit on there. In this specific situation, I'm trying to get the bait to point down and sink ever so slightly. So I'm probably wrapping a little bit more. This one's a really good example than what most guys would. This is another example of the cool colors too. See, it's like pink on the top, and then it has that transparent look to it. But basically, you're wrapping that front hook to get that bait to set just like that. And I'm looking for a slow kind of sink because I'm fishing it in like over like 10 to 15, 20 feet of water. So I need it to get down 6 or 7 foot on those first 2 or 3 twitches. So I'm twitch. I'll let it count it down ever so slightly. There's a couple different ways that you can do this. The other way, and this is kind of unique, and this is one of kind of the sneaky hacks that I wanted to show you, is these guys right here. These are the Bait Sanity tungsten adhesive strips. You see me use these guys on glide baits for chop gliding and things along those lines. What you can do with those is also use them on jerk baits. And here's what actually happens. There's 2 ways to do it. 1 I'd recommend, 2 is depending on the action you're looking for. So this one has it on the nose. I mounted it. I would normally recommend to put it right here on the belly, and here's why. When you mount it on the nose, it causes a weird rock to the bait, any jerk bait. Doesn't matter whether it's a shot caller or a Mega Bass, and the bait's going to jump up from time to time. So you're twitching, trying to get it down, and it's going to jump up. Now, sometimes you want that, right? You're trying to stay above the grass line, something along those lines. I usually don't. But what's cool with these tungsten strips is if you are doing forward-facing stuff with your jerkbait, these tungsten strips are tungsten, right? Extra hard. They actually make the bait show up better, and you get a better signal from the bait, whether you mount it on the chest of the bait or the neck of the bait or the top, because it's that tungsten. Plus, it's almost like a little landing strip, so it gives you a bigger sort of span of area for that signal to bounce off of. So that's a little sneaky trick to make your jerkbaits reflect more. I guess as long as we're jumping into the dirty deets, we might as well go a little deeper, right? So we talked about reeling basically a jerkbait. I've been catching a lot of fish doing that. Using that power reel, just 3 or 4 real fast reels, kill it. Hair jigging it, if you will. You know, just trying to get those fish to react. Those fish that you're seeing on forward facing, you know that are there, that are just not closing the deal. And what I've done is I have some blade hooks. So you can do it one of 2 ways I've found that's viable. There's a lot of different versions of these. I'll put links to Tackle Warehouse so you can go check them out. I think Decoy makes one, VMC makes one. It really doesn't matter what you get. Usually you want like anywhere from like a 3 to a 6 size, number 6. But basically they have a small little blade on them. You can mount it on the front of the hook, or you can mount it on the back of the hook depending on the presentation you're looking to achieve. So I have this one on the front. The only thing that I found with mounting it on the back, and this is like mainly for a reeling presentation when you're power reeling, right? I don't really want this on there to twitch, because I find you twitch, and then it just kind of sits there. You can, and it adds weight and ballast to the bait. But frankly, I want it to be moving and spinning. I think it's a little bit of an off-putting kind of look to it when it's just sitting there, especially in cold, clear water for these fish. So on the front of the hook, when you're reeling it, it's going to suck up against the bait. You're going to get that little spin, that little flash almost at the belly. It's almost going to look like a fin on that jerkbait, and it's perfectly compact. It doesn't extend the length of the jerkbait. The only downside I've found to putting it on the tail, it works very well on the tail. You get a really cool action. It actually keeps the bait somewhat more true instead of it veering off, you know, and kind of like hunting crazy. It'll still hunt, but it almost sort of, I don't know, it trues the bait. It kind of gives it a little bit of like pull and a little bit of drag, and thus it keeps it a little straighter. However, it makes the bait much longer. So unless you're doing it on a shorter jerkbait, like a junior, like a 110 junior, or that stunner 110, you end up getting a fairly long bait. And to be perfectly honest, this time of year, between clear water as well as the fact that the water's super cold, I'm trying to downsize across the board. I don't want super big baits. Like I want compact. The bait is pretty small. The fish are pretty finicky. Unless you're going, you know, mega giant fish hunting, I really want more of a compact presentation. So I usually put it on that bottom right there, and I'm using that power reel technique. 3 or 4 quick reels, kill it. 3 or 4 quick reels and kill it.
So we're thinking we can catch another 5-younder. Got a couple 3-younders. But we kind of need all 5-younders out here. But, oh, that's just a solid one, and he ate it right on the side. God, I love watching him freaking dance with this thing, dude. Like, that is the dumbest deal. God, the water's clear. That is so freaking cool. That's a decent one. It's just not a great big giant one. Got him. That should be a better one. He followed it from a long way away, boys. Hello, friend. Oh, he hit it and quit it. That's a freaking big one. That was textbook, dude. Throw to the freaking grass line. Take it easy there, big girl. Dude, that's a freaking 5-6-pounder. Actually, we gotta get out the scooper. That's a freaking legit right there. Come here. Got you. That's how you want them to eat it. That's the size you want to catch. That is everything wonderful about bass fishing right there. She absolutely clobber bopped it, dude. There was no doubt. And that's why I like these hooks too. No more of that worrying about coming off kind of stuff. That's a freaking stout one, dude. Bro, that's what you're looking for. Let's get her back in the drink. That's the size of the critter. Twitch, pause. Smoked it. My homies, we're gonna wrap this thing up, dude. It is freaking cold and I'm tired. We caught a ton of fish though. I kind of like this shot caller. It's like I said, it's a fusion very much of that Stunner 112+1 and that Mega Bass Vision 110+1. The one kind of unique factor is that slow rise, and one thing I'm kind of excited about playing with it is down in Florida. It's tough to find like a jerkbait, like a quality jerkbait, right, with a good finish, with good hooks on it, with the weight transfer system that has that slow rise. Because a lot of times in Florida we're trying to fish like just above the grass, right? So you need it to kind of rise out of those situations, but you don't want it to do it like the Rapalas, like the balsa baits, where they just pop up real quick. You want it to just kind of, you know, ease on up, as JT would say. So I think I'm gonna have some fun playing with it on like Harris and like Toho and those kinds of lakes where you have a lot of that grass and a very small like column of water to fish it in. What's also kind of unique, and I found myself doing it a bunch, is when you have that slow rise, it allows you to mod the bait more.
I can mod the bait to suspend it, I can mod the bait to sink it, right? So it gave me a few different options, but you do need to mod it. You know, you got to have either the tungsten strips like we talked about, the Bait Sanity ones like that, and definitely don't sleep on this. It makes the bait show up a lot better. So I don't care what jerkbait you're using, try the strips. Do it mainly on the neck though. If you do it on the top, it makes the action change quite a bit, but if you do it on that neck, it's really going to help that bait to shine better, they call it, on that forward facing. But that or the lead wire 0.30 diameter I found is probably the best and most versatile, easiest to wrap. Another sneaky one we didn't mention during the video is you can also use the Nishine. Makes it's basically like a drop weight that you can attach to the O-ring, and it just drops down. You can put it on the front, middle, or back hook depending on the kind of sit that you're looking for the bait, and then you can take a little wire clippers and then clip it down to whatever kind of weight size you need. You know, if you need less, cut it down. If you want the whole thing, you just leave it as is. So there's a lot of different ways you can mod it, and don't sleep on that either. My buddy Jacob Wall, I mentioned him a lot during the videos. He's such a detailed dude, and he has whooped my behind, dude, fishing a jerkbait multiple times. And it wasn't because he had the magic jerkbait, it was because he modded the bait in the process of the day to accommodate the fish. You know, we had some very neutral fish one day. He made that thing sink, like just ever so slightly, so he could fish it a little deeper and keep it just above the bottom to draw them up because they won't rise all the way up. Little tweaks like that. It's amazing how you can take this one bait and change it ever so slightly, and all of a sudden they'll absolutely clobber it. Try that little spinnerbait deal too. You know, the blades and the reeling technique, it wasn't the hot topic today. You know, the twitch is great, especially when it's cold, but if these fish are active, that reeling technique and that power retrieve, that hair jigging of the jerkbait, is absolutely killer, and they just do not see it, dude. They'll see it with a trap, they'll see it with a crankbait maybe, things along those lines, but they don't see it with that jerkbait. And that jerkbait is probably one of the most classic, best baits you can run when that water temperature starts dipping below that like 52, 51, down in the 40 degrees kind of mark. So it's definitely something you want to have in your arsenal, and those little mods, a little bit of flash, it just adds sort of a different signature to that bait and gets more bites. And really, with all the pressure that we're seeing on the lakes and that's really the game you need to play. Hope you guys enjoyed this video though. We're gonna wrap this thing up. I'll put links to everything, including the Bass Mafia Shot Caller and all the mod stuff, down in the description box for you guys to check out. I hope you're getting out fishing. Hit that like and subscribe button for me. We will see you later, boys.